name is Dan Miller. I'm 53 years old. I live in Fort Mojave, Arizona. I'm 5'11" high, and I used to weigh 338 pounds a couple years ago. Now I weigh 199 pounds.
In your opinion, eating healthy means?
It means eating lots of living foods, fruits, vegetables, that type of thing. Whole nuts, grains, seeds, sprouts. All this kind of living energy foods is really good. I stay away from animal proteins, dairy, refined carbs, that kind of thing I stay away from.
What are your biggest challenges to eating healthy?
Well, my biggest challenge, I think, starts with just making the decision to get on a healthy lifestyle, because it truly is a lifestyle. It's not really a diet. When I first started eating healthier, I did have periods of time when I would get maybe a headache or feel kind of low, stuff like this, and I knew I was detoxifying, and I just kept going through it to get to that better place where I feel today. And it takes some time and effort, but it's really worth it.
What are your top tips for eating healthier?
Well, for me, the first thing I did was I did a colon cleanse, an herbal colon cleanse, because I was quite constipated when I first started on my journey. Then the next step I wanted to do was get a juicer, because I really wanted to start juicing. I'd heard a lot about it. I got a Breville juicer. It's a wide mouth juicer. You can put lots of vegetables in there. It juices it up really quick and easy. It cleans really easy. It's great for that. Then as I evolved into more of a plant-based diet, healthier diet, I started working with an immersion blender, which I can highly suggest also to you, because the immersion blender makes things like bean dips and hummus real easy to make. You don't have to pull out a big bulky blender for it. You can whip up stuff really quick and easy. I found that really great.
What are your top tips for feeding your family healthy foods?
Well, again, I think for my family, I had to make the decision for myself. When I was younger, I tried eating healthier for other people, and I found that it just doesn't work. You have to do it for yourself first. But once I made that decision and I was sticking with it, what I found was that people in my family were naturally attracted to that, and they wanted to get involved, because that's the trend, I believe, in our society. That's true health care, is taking care of yourself so that you don't get sick. And that's something I was really afraid of. So again, I had to look around to find really good foods. Now, I live in the desert, and it's really hard to find really good fruits and vegetables, but there is an organization, a volunteer organization called Bountiful Baskets, that you can pay money and they truck in stuff in our area, and we get fruits and vegetables there, and I volunteer there on Saturdays, and it's really good, because then you're in a community of other people that are like-minded, and everybody's into the fruits and veggie scene, you know, and all this, and it really helps make people inspired and keep going. You see other people who have done really well too, so you get more inspired. It's just really fun and great. I love that.
What do you eat in a typical day?
Well, today I start with fresh fruit in the morning, and then I go directly to my juicing in the mid-morning. I'll drink about a pint of juice a day still, and I drink my juice from mid-morning until the early afternoon. Then around 3 o'clock I'll have nuts and seeds or carrot planks and hummus with my raw cacao drink that I have in the afternoons. Then for dinner, what I usually have is a big salad, and I have some roasted vegetables, or I might have a big salad with some chili, or I might have a salad with some Asian food, or have some Mexican food, guacamole, tostadas, that kind of thing. Vegetarian tostadas are really yummy. There's all kinds of things I can eat, and we always are constantly experimenting with new things all the time. It's really great.
When you were growing up, in a day, what did you typically eat?
Oh, well, for me, when I was a kid growing up, I remember my mom would always make us almost every morning fried eggs. Hard fried eggs I would have in the morning, 2 fried eggs, or we'd have oatmeal. And Then for lunch, I would always have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some chips and a carton of milk. Or if I was lucky, I'd have a bologna sandwich with some chips and a carton of milk. Then after school, I would sneak off over to the mini mart and I would get a couple of candy bars. And I remember I'd break up my Hershey bar. I'd always stuff it into my mouth and get that good sugar buzz before going home. And then for dinner, we would usually have some kind of meat and potatoes dish that my mom would make for us. We had 6 kids in my family, so we would always be scrapping to try and get the food, because if you were a little late getting the food, you might miss out.
When you were in your poorest health, what did you typically eat in a day?
Well, when I was in my poorest health, I usually had 3 or 4 eggs that I would scramble, and I would pour it over some hash brown potatoes with 3 or 4 pieces of bacon for breakfast. And then I wouldn't eat anything at all until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I would have a hazelnut latte with about 3 cookies for my afternoon snack with my paper. And then I wouldn't eat anything until dinner time, about 7 o'clock, which I'd always have something like meat and potatoes. I love chicken fried steak. I would have that with like mashed potatoes and maybe a little cooked vegetable on the side, something like this. And then after dinner, we'd always have dessert of some kind. I'd have ice cream, something like this. On the weekends, I would start drinking beer then, and I would drink beer until the late evening. My wife would go to sleep and I would be there drinking beer until, late in the evening. And then at around midnight, I'd have a midnight snack of, say, cottage cheese and chips, something like that, to try and, wake myself up a little bit so I could go to sleep, and that wouldn't help. And I usually went to bed with a buzz on the weekends.
What are your top 3 reasons for eating packaged or processed foods?
Well, today I don't really eat any packaged or processed foods. Even if you get good ones, you don't know what's in them, even the organic ones. And so I prefer to process my own foods today and make up my own foods. Then I know what's going into my body.
Why did you decide to improve your diet?
Well, I had a lot of problems, as I was getting older, and I had sleep apnea real bad. I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes. I had some sexual dysfunction. I would get migraine headaches all the time, and I remember it got really bad this one day in particular. I'll never forget. We went to a strip mall where my wife was going to go shopping, and right by the bathrooms they had a scale there where you could put a quarter in and weigh yourself. And I went out and from the bathrooms and I put the quarter in, and I couldn't believe it. I got up, it was almost 340 pounds. And I remember my wife was coming out of the bathroom. She came over to look at it, and I jumped off the scale. I was so freaked out that I was so heavy, and I remember feeling so pissed off because I just wanted to go and have my Snickers Blizzard and read my paper in peace. And I didn't want that gnawing out at me how obese I had gotten. And it got to me though, and I remember that night I woke up in the middle of the night, and it's like my spirit came to me and said, you've got to change. You've got to change something. This isn't working for you. You're coming into your 50s now, and you can either change or you won't. And if you don't change, you're going to become a statistic, because I knew people that got over their 50s and 60s, that's when they started getting chronic disease. And I just didn't want to get sick. And so it took a while. I remember many nights where I'd wake up in the middle of the night again, and I would feel it out and think about it. But I remember one day in particular, I finally got up, I went out into the kitchen, my wife was there, and I said, honey, I'm going to quit drinking beer. And I remember she looked at me and she said, okay. And I know it was like not a big deal to her, but to me it was a big deal. I was proclaiming that I was going to change. I was grounding it into reality, that I was going to start on a new lifestyle, and that was the beginning for me.
Healthy food is approximately what percentage of your diet?
Well, today it's about 90 to 95% of everything that I eat today.
The person responsible for purchasing and preparing food in your household is?
Well, it used to be my wife all the time, but now I get involved the last few years. I mean, I like to go into the store and see what kinds of fresh vegetables and fruits they have. And I like to look at and see how it looks, see if it's fresh, see if it sings to me. You know, I like to see the food today and know what I'm putting in my body is good quality. It smells like, you know, like celery. I want it to smell like celery. I don't want it to smell like nothing, you know, and I like feeling that kind of thing now.
What is the best result you've gotten from eating healthier?
Well, I lost 139 pounds. I mean, that's the big thing. I feel more alive. I feel younger today. I don't have sleep apnea anymore. I can bend over and tie my shoes. I don't have any more sexual dysfunction. I'm very virile today, which I really like a lot. And I like being able to go out and walk for a mile or so, and I don't get winded. I feel great right now. I don't fall asleep during the course of the day. It used to be that in the mid-afternoons I would fall asleep when my wife was talking to me. I had hypoglycemic crashes all the time. I never have hypoglycemia. I feel great.
When you eat more healthy foods, how much better do you feel?
Well, I feel younger, frankly. I feel like I'm in my early 30s again. And I feel like the longer I do this healthy lifestyle, the younger I'll feel.
My favorite food indulgence is?
Well, it used to be sushi. I love Japanese food. And I love sushi in particular. I love just eating raw fish. I just love all that, the flavors of it. We used to do it like twice a week. Now I might do it once every couple months. Another indulgence that I really like, though, is the nuts and seeds. I roast my own nuts and I have them in the afternoon and seeds, and I'll eat those with my raw cacao drink. That was a new thing that I found out about. Instead of having coffee now, I'll have raw cacao. It's a raw form of chocolate, and I make that in the afternoons when I'm reading my paper, and I love it. It reminds me of something that I read early on when I was in my 20s about the Raw Foodist Society. They said, just relax and enjoy. And today, I just like to relax and enjoy, especially when I'm eating.